Now, there's this idea called Operation Raise the Colours, which are the colours of the various flags that represent England or Britain. It's spread to towns and cities. It's spread to, good morning to you if you're watching or listening, in Bradford, Newcastle, Norwich, Swindon, because you're all doing it, and people are putting up England and British flags in defiance of council bans.
Yes, it's a patriotism campaign. London authority Tower Hamlets has vowed to take them down, and we're asking the question today: should we be proud to fly the British flag? To debate this, political commentator Mike Jones, social commentator Imarn Ayton.
Mike, how proud are you?
I'm very proud indeed. The Union Jack is an iconic flag. You know, it represents the continuity of the crown, the historic achievements of the British people, and the uniting of distinct nations under one banner. But, you know, let's be clear about one thing. You know, when people raise, wave or don the Union Jack, they're not trying to make an academic point about history. They're expressing pride in their nation, in the homeland their families grew up in. Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with that.
Well,
you know,
that's the way it should be. And if that's the way it was, and Mike, you know, I respect what you're saying and I respect the ideal of it. But Imarn, I am sort of agreeing with you because I am from Northern Ireland and it is so divisive. And when you live somewhere, it's like having a dog pee against a lamppost and says, you can't come in here. This is our territory, whether you're green or whether you're blue on this one. But so I understand. Mike, what Mike's saying, the ideal of what Mike's saying is absolutely perfect and right. But in practice, Imarn, it can be different.
Yes, I totally agree with you. And I'm very grateful that you see both of our points. I think that every country in the world should have pride. We all need pride, but we should pick our flags wisely. So let's just be clear. The British flag is the Union flag. That's the truth. It represents all countries. It represents the Commonwealth. It represents the British overseas territories, whereas St. George's flag does not. It actually excludes. It excludes everyone because it only represents England. It doesn't represent Scots, it doesn't represent the Welsh, and it doesn't represent Northern Ireland. So yes,
except that when you go into those other constituent parts, they don't really feel like they have the same sort of connotation, do they? I mean, if you go to Wales and you see a Welsh flag flying, it doesn't really have those same sort of connotations as the flag of St. George's. And there will be people who are saying, but we need to reclaim them. We need to reclaim them from that they have been. There's this feeling they've been hijacked by the far right. And if actually we take the sting out of it by flying them everywhere, perhaps that's a good thing. Imarn, if I can put that to you.
Penny, thank you. I think that's a very valid point. I think that when something has been hijacked by far right or extremists, you should reclaim it and claim it as your own. So I totally agree with that. But we also have to take into consideration the fact that Tower Hamlets is predominantly Asian. It is predominantly Asian, about approximately 44%. It is predominantly Bangladeshi and Muslim, 39.9%. So I would argue that the council is merely trying to cater to their constituents. That is the truth.
But those constituencies, for all the things you said, which are true, Imarn, but they now live in England. And a lot of people will be saying, you know, when in England be English?
Yes, I totally agree. I do believe that if you are going to live in a country, you should first and foremost respect and adhere to the rules of the country, embrace the British values, and also lead with empathy. Yeah. Now, this is where we go awry, and I think this is where the balance has kind of gone awry, in truth. There are many kind of areas within London or England or the UK where there are areas that have predominantly Muslim or predominantly black, and it's just about understanding that
using the internet without a VPN, a virtual private network, is a bit like taking to the road without car insurance. All it takes is one unlucky moment to cost you a lot of cash. This video's sponsor is Private Internet Access. They are the VPN to help keep you safe. Click the link in the description below to find out why over 30 million people have downloaded PIA to protect themselves online. A virtual private network is an app that hides your IP address and helps keep your data private. When you're browsing the internet at home, you give up a large amount of data to businesses, to shops, and indeed to social media giants too. Hackers have the ability to steal your personal data with ease, including sensitive information such as passwords, keystrokes, and even your personal photos. Private internet access helps protect your personal data by encrypting your internet connection to keep your data out of the hands of cyber criminals. And it's not just hackers either to be concerned about. Information can be censored too. When Canada passed their C18 bill, social media giants decided to ban news content on their platforms. But PIA can protect your ability to consume the news and content you love. Private internet access is available for Windows users, Mac OS, Android, Linux, iOS, and you can use one PIA subscription to protect an unlimited amount of devices. And we've got a huge GBNews discount for you too. Click the link in this video's description and you'll get a massive 83% off PIA. That's under £2 a month, the price of a coffee, and you'll get an extra 4 months completely free on top. Also, there's a 30-day money-back guarantee too. Visit piavpn.com/GBNews to start protecting yourself digitally today.
Right, Mike's been very patient and listening to everything there. Mike, what would you say from what we have been saying, we have been debating, we have been throwing about here, you've been listening, what do you think?
Well, what's surreal is that we're having this debate at all. In almost any other country, it would be considered absurd, even pathological.
Absolutely right. And in America, mate, in America, look at how the difference is how anybody, whatever country they're from, wherever they've emigrated from to be in America, still swear allegiance to that flag and salute that flag.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think flying the flag is an inherently good thing. The people who are offended by this are in a very small number.
Sorry to interrupt, sir, but what flag? Because we have two, the Union flag and St. George's flag. So let's be specific when we talk about it's about pride and flying our flag. What flag are you talking about, sir?
The debate is about the Union Jack, and I'm Welsh, by the way. So, you know, I fly the Welsh flag when I'm in Wales or when I'm in England watching a rugby match, but I have absolutely no problem with English people flying the St. George's Cross. I mean, I think that's perfectly reasonable. And, you know, we can get very petty about this and talk about people getting offended. And you have, you know, sort of professional grievance mongers who will try to gin up resentment. But at the end of the day, you know, Britain is not just an economic grazing strip. And if more and more people are getting offended by the British flag or the St. George's Cross, then that actually symbolises a big problem that we have.
I think we have to leave it there, but thank you very much to both of you. Mike Jones, political commentator who's currently in Wales, and Imarn Ayton, who's also a commentator who's in London. There is a spokesman for Tower Hamlets Council statement. While we recognise people wish to express their views, we have a responsibility to monitor and maintain council infrastructure. Where flags are attached to council-owned infrastructure without permission, this comment says they may be removed as part of routine maintenance.
Right, so do you know what that means?
It means we're taking them down.
But they're taking them down from lampposts and things.
That's what they mean.
But so they're saying this is not a council decision on council-owned property or whatever. This is people. Who owns the lampposts? This is people who walk around and say, "This is our street. We are putting this flag on here, and it says we are English or we are British," which is fine. But it can also say, "And if you don't adhere to this, you are not welcome in this street." And that's very much the way flags are used in Northern Ireland.
And that is why there's a much more nuanced approach to this. And it isn't just the same as saying, you know, this is good and this is bad. Patriotism or patriotism is good. And
if you don't have a problem with that, that's fine. And there are people, Mike said, oh, this is not about history, whatever. It's not. In Northern Ireland, flags are used to celebrate something that happened in 1690.
Yeah.
And it is
Commemorate, perhaps.
It is complicated. It is complicated, and it can be very sensitive for a lot of people. And I hope we've tried to reflect that this morning, and hopefully at the same time try to respect it. So thank you very much indeed. And this is the Express are carrying this story today, Esther, and it's saying consuls take down England flags. Now, being from Northern Ireland, I am very flag sensitive, and I don't think this is as simple as the newspapers would like to make out, that all the consuls are wrong doing this. What is a flag doing up a lamppost in the first place, is my point. We're not talking about consul offices here or whatever. We're talking about taking down flags that are on lampposts.
Yes, this is part of Operation Raise the Colours. So the supporters are trying to revive a sense of patriotism in the country, and so they've been putting up flags all over the place, on flag posts and in councils. But the councils that are receiving the most criticism is Birmingham City Council and now most recently Tower Hamlets Council for taking it down, saying it could flag some sort of divisive sentiment in the community, which is strange because it's the flag. St George's Cross is the flag of England. Why would that be divisive?
You see, in Northern Ireland, it's completely different. It's territorial, it's religious. It's not. So what you're seeing there is, if you saw an English flag or a Union Jack or whatever, it says this is a Protestant area. If you see a tricolour, which it represents the Republic of Ireland, you're saying this is a Republican or nationalist area, Catholic area. And it's quite obvious, and it is very intimidating. It is honestly like dogs peeing against lampposts. That is what
and it has been hijacked by the far right. That is the problem with the England flag. And in some ways, there will be people saying, let's reclaim the flag.
But I think it's an historical assumption that why the council are getting involved in the first place, I don't quite know, because anybody should be able to appreciate anything that they want within reason. But I used to live in America. Everybody has their flags out there. They're very proud of their national outlook. In this country, we tend to think of flags when there's a football game on, an England game, and you get those plastic-free flags that are given away with your groceries when you go to Sainsbury's.
That's a very good distinction you've made. You're absolutely right. Everybody in America, they respect the flag, they salute the flag and whatever. How come Britain is
Well, they saw allegiance to it.
And also it's three different... And also because, it's different when it's the Union flag as to whether it's the constituent parts.
Well, I mean, I think it's quite telling that you said that it's been kind of co-opted by the far right, because I think that's precisely the problem. It's trying to change that narrative of saying this is a flag, this represents all of us in this country, and therefore there should be pride within it without allowing a certain narratives to take root. And I think the criticism here by Tower Hamlets Council is because they allowed Palestinian flags to be flown in Britain, but for some reason English flags are not allowed, which is quite jarring.
But I think that's my point, is historically you think if you have an English flag, there's some reason why you have it. And if it's not a football game, you're making a big statement. When I drive up from London down to Wrexham, which is a regular thing, once a week with my kids, we always have a competition that when we get into Wales, welcome to Wrexham, how many Welsh dragons can we find, Daddy? You hardly see any. Absolutely amazing.